Hi everyone, Shodes here. This week's video is going to go over the Janna Changes in 12.14 and a focused commentary on one of my challenger games. My goal for the commentary is to explain my thought process and reasoning for why I do certain things in game, given the information that I know, and to get you all thinking in a similar way. The commentary is going to be a game from my perspective, as it's more important to see from a player's POV rather than the spectate tool. Let me know what you guys think about this style and also what kind of videos you want me to go over in the future in the comments. I'm still trying to figure out what type of videos people enjoy, so that would be very helpful. Thank you guys, let's hop into the video. I want to begin talking about the adjustments on Janna from 12.14. They nerfed her E passive of 20% increased heal and shield to 15%, but increased her base shield and healing on the ult. I made this little chart to compare the differences from last patch to this patch. This shows the base amount and then the increased amount in both patches. In 12.14, the shield is actually stronger, but the healing from her R is a little bit less at ranks 2 and 3 from last patch. In the games I played, it didn't feel noticeable at all. I thought the change of 20% to 15% bonus shield and heal would have reduced the slow scaling on Glacial, as it scales with every 10% of increased heal and shield, but with Revitalize as 5%, we still get the 18% increase on the slow. So overall, the changes were not bad. I think with all the enchanter item and sustain rune nerfs, Janna is now the best enchanter because she no longer gets outscaled. Janna is unique from most of the enchanters because her biggest strength is from the CC in her kit rather than sustain. These are the win rates from u.gg for Diamond Plus in every region for patch 12.14 so far. As you can see, Janna still has one of the best win rates with a lot of matches. Overall, the 12.14 was a big patch, but Janna is still very good. We can probably expect another nerf sometime soon. Getting into the game now, here's the current rune setup that I go. I talk about it in my Janna guide, so if you want an in-depth explanation onto why I take these runes, you can take a look, I'll link it in the description. Even after all the rune nerfs, I still believe this is the best setup. First thing I like to do when I get into game is look at the summoner spells and keystones for my enemies through the scoreboard. This way I can adapt to whatever they are running and not get caught off guard if they are running something unconventional. This isn't an ad, but I like looking at stats with Professor to look at the players in my lobby. It doesn't affect how I play, I just think it's interesting. Level 1, I like putting my trinket in Tribush just to see if the enemy leashes or not. It's important to hug the wall rather than to walk in straight because you are less likely to be seen by the enemy if they were in the bush. Looking at this now, I definitely could have hugged it a little tighter because if the enemy was sitting at the top edge of the bush, they would have been able to see me walk up. After I put down the ward, I immediately go back to switch out my trinket for sweeper. I like having an early sweeper to play bush control in lane and for potential early roams. As I am walking back to lane, we see Draven walking through Try to leash. Poppy managed to get a ward on the enemy red, so we would have known that they are starting red regardless, but this is why I like the Tribush ward early. I tried going for a sneaky steal, but I Q a little early. Unfortunately, I don't get it, and then I just walk to lane. I danger ping my AD carry here because I don't want them to kill the minions without me getting there to get the EXP. I fortunately get into lane without losing any EXP. When I get to lane, I'm trying to get bush control because if Renata is able to get it, we'll be zoned off the wave super hard. We still get zoned, but it would have been a lot worse if Renata was standing where I was. I'm pacing back and forth in anticipation of Renata E. I sit in the very edge of the bush as a lot of supports will shoot their skill shot in the middle. Unfortunately, Renata walks up and her E hits me because the hitbox is big where she starts casting it. I immediately walk back and get ignited. We lose out on the trade, but it's not too bad because they have no ignite and MF and I still have heal and exhaust. We can't walk up to take any trades because we are low HP, they have a big wave, and they have level advantage on both of us. I am very aware that Poppy is near us and is looking for a gank. Renata flash Qs, forcing our misfortune to flash, and the wave is in a very bad spot for the enemy. I'm a little worried that we won't hit level 2 by the time Poppy ganks because we are getting zoned very hard. I want to save Glacial for when Poppy is a little bit closer, but Draven is playing super aggressive, forcing me to use it. I'm hyper aware that we are 2 caster minions off of level 2, and after Misfortune kills one, I immediately focus on killing the last one to level up. After I hit level 2, I don't immediately put my ability in. I want to see what would be best in this situation. I leveled up E because I wanted to give Poppy the extra AD, but I probably should have leveled W to slow Renata so Misfortune can catch up. After we get both kills, I look at my wave and ping my ADC off of it. At this wave state, it's better to recall and to walk back to lane if we can hold the wave right before the tower. The reason for this is because we won't have the wave clear to push the wave in. If we end up staying, we won't have a good window to recall for a long time as the enemy will come back with full HP and mana and an item. I stay back to pull the wave so it doesn't crash into our tower. This not only saves the minions that Misfortune would have missed, but it also sets up to create a slow push. After the last minion dies, I have the minions aggro me and then I walk into the bush to lose the minion aggro. Draven almost catches me, but I recalled just in time. When I get back, I press tab to look at the team comp to figure out what boots I want. I see the enemy has Wukong, Draven, and Corki, so I decided on plated steel caps. That's why I buy boots and a cloth armor. As I walk back to lane, I usually look at the scoreboard and the map to see the wave states so I can look for potential roams. I knew I had to go straight to lane after my back because otherwise their bot lane could have frozen the wave and zoned Misfortune. Misfortune ends up taking a very bad trade and gets chunked to a quarter HP. Luckily, I make it in time to save her. She should have given up some minions and waited for me to come, so now laning phase is a little scuffed, but I try my best to have lane presence so Misfortune can walk up in CS. I see that Renata is super far from Draven and Draven is almost out of mana, so I'm willing to take a trade of my HP to make Draven use all of it. We're able to get a really good trade here because Renata and Draven are not playing well together. I know Draven wants to push in the wave and back, so I punish him and he can't trade much because he is out of mana. As he walks up to the minions, I make sure to W him as I dodge Renata's skill shots. Draven eventually gives up and walks away. As soon as he walks away, I sweep the ward in the bush that he put down when he almost caught me recalling. We set up this wave state as a result from pulling the wave before recalling. The reason why this wave is perfect is because it puts the enemy bot lane in a very unsafe spot and the wave is now slow pushing. Misfortune shoves the wave in because she wants to back. We will have about 2 waves worth of minions crashing at the enemy tower, so I ping to do dragon. Because of the dragon buffs in 12.14, I always want to try to secure dragons, and I thought this would be a good time as their AD carry will be forced to catch the waves at the tower. Poppy and I try to duo the dragon, but we don't have the damage and the dragon health buff makes it take a very long time to kill Drake. This moment made me realize that Drakes are a lot harder to kill. We probably could have taken it and recalled in a reasonable time, but Misfortune backed. Renata finds us, but Draven is still in lane, so Poppy tries to kill her, but Wukong shows up. We run up the river and into our jungle. Poppy hits the vision cone, and we see Draven walking back to his lane. Misfortune is near us, so I know we can contest the crab as the fight will be a 2v3. As we are taking this fight, I don't immediately use my shield or heal because I want to make sure my E passive is triggered, so I can get the increased 50% heal and shield. Quick reminder, the yellow bar shows when the E passive is triggered. We end up killing Wukong and I almost end up dying to Corki ult, but I saved myself by eating the berries. Tally and Misfortune turn on Draven and Renata and I try to cut off Draven by flash queuing through the dragon pit, but I was a little too slow. After we get both of them, I take the time to sweep the bushes. After I take a look at the wave, I know we're going to do the same thing as last time and recall. I pan to our upcoming minions to see if it's a cannon wave. Once I saw that it is, I know that I don't have to stay and hold the enemy wave as the enemy wave will not be able to kill our minions because the cannon minion is super tanky. Once I get back, I buy plated steel caps and a refillable potion. As I walk back, I take a look at the scoreboard again to see the game state. It's actually super important to constantly check to know who is strong or weak, so you can play around that information. I used to tab out when I was walking to lane, but you miss out on a lot of information, so don't do that. When I walk back to lane, I see Renata walk to the bush, so I want to take the 2v1 trade with Misfortune. I had a feeling that Renata and Wukong were probably on Dragon because they did not come out to help Draven. After my trade, I sit back for a bit because I think Wukong is near us. I know Draven is trying to shove in the wave and he is low, but I don't want to take a lot of trades here because our jungler is top and they could potentially dive us. In the situation that our jungler was bot side, I would be playing very aggressively to harass Draven because I know we would win the 3v3. I want to hold the wave here, but Misfortune wants to shove in. I want to set up another slow push and then look to rotate to Herald, but we do this instead. I help push out the wave and then try to sweep out the lane's bushes and river. Misfortune ults the cannon wave and then I get my spell thief stacks and then try to back. I know my support item is about to transform because I hit the 500 stacks, so I'm positioning my recall to drop the ward in the tri-bush, but I see Renata so I walk away. I want to drop my ward somewhere before I recall, but I'm a bit hesitant to blind check the top side of the river because Wukong and Corki are MIA. I walk back down to try the tri-bush again, but Renata is still there so I back away. I see that Poppy is trying to contest Crab, so I walk up to help her. I was a little hesitant to take this fight because our ADC was not with us, and if their mid support and ADC all rotate, it would be a 3v4, but Draven chose bot so I commit to the fight. I set up a cutoff tornado because I know Wukong will probably rotate to Renata and manage to hit Renata. The glacial slow is enough for us to catch them. We manage to get Renata, but Wukong unfortunately gets away. I walk back down bot lane because I want to shove in the wave and look to Herald. I hit level 6, and as I'm recalling, I checked mid's wave state to see if I could potentially look for a gank. After I reset, I wanted a Herald, but I saw that Poppy was still at her blue side, so I pathed mid instead. As I am walking, I am checking all lanes to see how everyone is doing and if anyone needed any help. Misfortune takes a 2v1 and ends up killing Draven, and I was hoping I could walk down to save her from Renata, but unfortunately she dies. Immediately after she dies, I change my path to gank mid, because if I rotate bot, I would just sit there and push the wave. I sweep the river as I walk up to gank. Talia lands her W, so I'm able to catch the Corki very easily. Always make sure to W before you Q so you can increase your Glacial Slow. Glacial Slow scales with the increased heal and shield, and your E passive grants you this, so remember that. After we get the kill, we rotate to Herald. I want to scout out the area, so I look to hit the vision plant and place a ward in their jungle. The ward I place is one of the best spots you can put a ward in because you can see if the enemy goes through Tri or through blue. I see Wukong recalling at Tri and want to stop his back to mess up his tempo, so I throw out a tornado right before he recalls. He clears out the ward in Tri and walks up, so I follow him to stop him again. I stop him and leave, but Wukong ends up staying to farm the wave, crashing at top tower. Poppy finishes Herald, and I was looking for a play mid, but we go for the dive topside instead. Poppy catches Heimer warding and engages on him. I make sure to do the WQ combo as we fight. I get caught off guard with how hard Heimer bursts and heal late. Wukong turns on me, so I have to flash out. I pop my potion and Time Warp Tonic actually saves me. Talia rotates to me and she ends up picking up a double kill. I look to reset, but before I do, I drop my pink ward because I know I'm going to need space to buy an item. A cool little trick I like to do to heal faster out of Fountain is to proc my Time Warp Tonic by using my refillable and walking in and out to refill it. I know that dragon is coming up soon, so I start to path towards it and look to place wards around it. When I see Renata, I click tab to check how many wards she has in her ward item. When I see that she has 3, I know she has not put down any wards, so I save my sweeper until I get to Tribush. I want to look for a potential dive on Draven, as I know that Renata is mid and I have stopwatch, but Misfortune wants to back. After I ward Tri and the enemy Raptor Bush, I loop around to help secure Scuttle Crab. I defend the pink ward and Pixel Bush from Renata and then try to look for a play mid. I know Corki has package, so I'm trying to force him to use it, but he plays safe. I see Renata through Tri and go for a blind tornado that I thought would cut her off, but it misses. Renata runs away, but Draven all-ins Misfortune. We are a bit far, so Draven is able to kill her, and Renata ults me and Poppy. After I Q Corki, Corki comes in with passive, while Talia trails behind. I didn't want to ult before I stopwatched here, because I know it would make it very hard for Talia to hit her abilities. We turn the fight and chase them, but Wukong flanks us. I'm playing super careful, sitting in the back and making sure I can buff my teammates. When my abilities are on cooldown, I hover just around the edge of the fight, so I can dip right in when I can use them. Right as my shield comes up, I cast it on Talia and save her from Wukong. After this point, the game is pretty much over as they surrender right after we take Dragon. I hope you guys learned a lot from this commentary. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments or come ask them at my stream at twitch.tv/showdesk. Goodbye.